I came to Furman in 1979. I had been involved with sustainability, although at that time that word was not applied as it is today. I mean, that was not the current buzzword that it is currently. But I encouraged recycling. We had a geology club at that time, and we were actually did a lot of the recycling back then. The Pepsi was the only vendor on campus, as it is today, and but they had steel cans instead of the aluminum ones. So we took old 35-gallon trash cans, plastic trash cans, cut a hole just the size for a can in the top, and put those in several localities around campus. And then we had to actually collect those cans and take them to the recycling center. Since I lived in Pickens County and they had a much better recycling program than Greenville County at that time, and still do, I took the cans to the local recycling place there. So that was my first involvement. I was also attended some of the EAG meetings, Environmental Action Group, back then, and was active in early Earth Day celebrations. Worked closely with Dr. Frank Powell, Emeritus Professor of Health Sciences, and Paul Anderson, who is a retired registrar for Furman, and there was a core of other faculty and students, and we promoted recycling and paper recycling and reduction of use of paper. So reduction of resources. We supported early initiatives to put double glazing on a lot of the windows in the Science Building at Furman Hall, and Phil Wilson was the facilities person at the time, and so we worked carefully and closely with him to help promote those sorts of projects. It really changed after David Shire was hired as president, or became president, and this was one of his big things, and he promoted sustainability, and so we kind of began to ramp things up because he was supporting us from the top down. We'd have this grassroots thing going, but he really supported us from the top down. So as part of his strategic plan that he fostered early in his career as president, sustainability was one of 4 major pillars in that strategic plan, and I was on the strategic planning committee and co-chaired that particular working group along with Jeff Redderson. So we got the language into the strategic plan about sustainability. And our dream at that time in the late 90s, early 2000s, was to have some sort of center on campus. We called it the Center for Habitat Earth, but eventually became the Center for Sustainability, that would be sort of the umbrella organization over all of the things happening on campus, and that we'd eventually have a director of that center. Because the faculty had lots of good ideas, and the students too, about things we wanted to do towards sustainability, but just not the time or the mechanisms or the money to do it. So having that overarching center was really important to us. So it was really a dream come true when we were able to form the Center for Sustainability and to hire a director, Angela Halfacre, a former student of mine, and I was chair of the committee that hired her. So she has, of course, allowed Furman to take a huge leap in sustainability, so that we're now one of the leaders in the nation in sustainability. Certainly in the Southeast we are a leader, and so that's kind of, in brief, the story of sustainability. As a boy, I spent my afternoons and summers roaming around in the woods. Our house was on a dead-end street backed up to probably several hundred acres of woods that we were in a creek. We were able to roam around, had friends interested in that, so we learned about nature. My mother had a rock and mineral collection, so I inherited that and was always interested in mineral collecting. Had friends that we used to go mineral collecting together. So I really grew up in the environment, loved to classify rocks and minerals, loved to go bird watching and classify birds and animals and plants. Wildflowers are still a hobby of mine, so I just sort of grew up in the environment. We did some camping as a family, but as I grew up. Did a lot of have done a lot of backpacking, and hiking is one of my passions. So all of that sort of led me to a career where I knew I could be outside a lot, which was geology. And so that's kind of how I got into that, and it's allowed me to have both my vocation and avocation, sort of be in parallel.